which is the opposite of toxic positivity if you read that one. Hello and welcome to the Drunkduck Quackcast. This is Drunkduck Quackcast number 621. I'm Ozone Ocean. With me is Tant Serene and Baines. Hello.
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 Today we're talking about,
Positive. Are you positive? Be positive.
Only,
Be positive now.
Yes, only being positive. Only good vibes. Because this is the good vibe cast and Drunk Duck is the good vibe happy place. And no negativity. You can just go away with your negative vibes. Just, we don't want to see you, okay? Only positivity. And you must agree with us about all our positive things. Because that's how we are. We're toxic. We're so positive that we're toxically positive. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Tance's thing that she invented, which is called toxic positivity. You're a genius, Tance. I hope you do a paper on this. See, Tance...
I am a guru.
I
know everything.
You're the guru. See, Tance copyrighted the whole toxic positivity thing, and she was the first one to get the Live, Laugh, Love tramp stamp, so you can't do that now. You have to pay her if you get it done.
Yeah. But do it happily, please. I don't want happy money.
So that's what we're going to be talking about, but we've got to get into the featured comic. Featured comic this week is something I featured. She used to be Fractal. So I'm going to tell you about that now. She used to be Fractal.
Hey.
I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was She Used to be Fractal. This is the story of a trans woman, a sometimes painfully relatable slice-of-life story told using surreal fantasy imagery. Depression and desperation are rendered in bright, happy colour. It's a pretty and fun-looking comic that gives us a look at the regrets from past relationships and present emotional turmoil from the inside, which is an interesting and unique experience, although not always a comfortable one. This is mostly created with physical media, which is a rarity these days, especially for something so colourful and detailed. The writing could possibly be a little bit heavy for some, but every word counts, so it's all worth it. I enjoyed She Used to be Fractal. It's not something you can really read in one sitting all the way through. You just have to slowly work your way through it. It's quite a deep read, really, so it's rewarding in a lot of ways. This is a comic by Cartoon Adventurer, and it's rated E for everyone. And that was our feature comic. She used to be Fractal. She's all fracked up. So, we're going to be talking about the featured music next. So Gumwalls gave us a theme to Succubus. So I'm going to tell you about Succubus now. Gumwalls gave us the theme to Succubus. A quiet, contemplative, slightly mournful tune, delicate in piano, is suddenly swamped by a red wave of horror and chaos as the music is ripped asunder and this new sound gouges deep into your ears. So take it away, Gumballs, with your theme to Succubus. featured music by Gumwallace, which was Succubus, which is a comic by Coy Dog and The Demon, which finally learned that name actually means demon and not just the D-Man. Okay, so that's new to me.
How do you know it doesn't mean both?
It probably does. I think it does mean both. That's why it's clever. He's a writer. He's a clever writer. So there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Writers are like that. They're crafty little bastards. So, we're talking about toxic positivity. You know, the live, laugh, love stuff, the good vibes only. Smile, chin up. Chin up. It might never happen. Stay calm and whatever that was.
Oh boy.
Stay calm and think of England or whatever that, I can't remember. Stay calm and carry on. Keep calm and carry on. There we go.
Yeah, that's very British.
Keep calm and carry on. And there are
Yeah.
many other examples.
Basically, anything that shuts down feedback that is negative or is perceived as negative would qualify as toxic positivity. Like, for example, someone said, "How was your day?" or whatever, and the person responds like, "I had a shitty day, and I am feeling really terrible." And then the other person says, "Oh, I'm sure you're gonna get through it. You are a very strong person, and I'm not afraid that you are. And I'm not afraid of you in the sense that I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about you. You are gonna do great. You're gonna go through this just fine." This is toxic because
How are they
basically,
gonna
what
get
does
through
it
it?
do?
Yeah. It means
What does it do?
can't talk about my problems anymore. I have to pretend that they're all going to be sorted in some pretend imagined future. So I don't disturb this person who I'm talking to about it. So,
Or basically you're being told, suck it up. I don't want to hear about it. You should, deal with it yourself. And if you don't, you are weak. You are not good enough. My opinion of you is going to drop because I believe that you can't do it on your own. So if you can't do it on your own, oh my God, I will be shocked.
yeah.
Is a message emotionally received, even when you don't realize it? And that's why it's toxic.
Yeah. Exactly. There are issues with it. All sorts of problems, as well as just being annoying. So, just don't do it. End of Quackcast.
Stop it. Stop it now. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I remember I always used to say, please stop hitting me. And I was being toxically positive.
Oh, but you don't like a bit of fun. You are such a killjoy.
Exactly.
You are not letting me hit you. And you now have ruined the mood.
Now, this sounds like bondage and discipline to me, so I think we're going into dirty waters here. Put the riding crop away, Tance.
What?
Put the riding crop away. Step away from the paddle.
Now you have ruined the mood.
Yeah, exactly.
You spoiled the fun.
Look what you've done now. How dare you?
Oh dear. Yeah. Toxic positivity. I don't know. It's one of these annoying things about social media where people say, don't, especially about movies and criticism about pop culture stuff. If you don't like something, people go, but what's the common thing? Shh, don't be mean about what people like or something like that. Yeah, but what if I like criticizing media? What if that's my pleasure in life, is to examine things critically? It doesn't mean I'm being, like ruining what people love, for goodness sake. So, but what those people do by insisting on this oh, don't spoil what people like. They're saying you can't say, they're being toxically positive about, like products of media, entertainment media, which is just weird, isn't it? Well, Chance doesn't like that term. It's just uncomfortable. There we are.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
awkward. It's
And
difficult.
and it's not only that. It's a very unhealthy thing that people are taught through this, because as humans we are basically a group type of animal. Like we like to social. We're a social animal. So when you get into environments like this, what you are taught is that your demeanor, your emotional state, what you should think, has to absolutely conform with that of everybody else, or you will be shunned. So basically, that is the lesson. So depending on who you want to be with, you are taught that you have to always agree and always be in the same sort of range of ideas, emotions, and what have you. That for that group is their own bubble of reality, and their own bubble of what is positive and what is emotionally acceptable, and so on and so forth. So it's not just new age Reiki sort of Zen chakra positivity thing. It's not just that. That is just one group that manifests it in that way. But for example, if you are into, I don't know, feminism, and supposedly you know what feminism is, because that is also something that we cannot be certain of. Assuming that you know what feminism is, you distort this definition and this framework into attacking people and excommunicating them, in a sense, from the feminist tag and the feminist group if they disagree with certain tenets that you have slapped on the feminist definition. Right. So that is also toxic positivity, because it's not just a positivity like, oh, we are going to be positive. It's that we have to be positive towards certain things, and we all approve of each other in that way. And if you don't agree completely with that, then you are negative, you are anti-blank, insert whatever you want, and you are not part of us. We shun you. You are negative. You are not good enough. And that is a very serious way of imposition into people's critical thinking. And that is the danger in all of this. People's critical thinking is attacked, and people's touch with reality is attacked. And that's why it is toxic.
Yeah, exactly. But people's enjoyment and other people. If you're doing this to other people, not just you the one doing it, you can ruin people's enjoyment of life, and their ability
absolutely.
to positively socially interact with you and other people. If you're just stomping all over them, saying, no, you can't do this, you can't behave that way, and then they're feeling shitty. You're giving them bad vibes.
Or they feel basically very lonely and alone. Like, imagine that you have a close friend and you want to talk with them about something that troubles you, but because that friend can't deal with it for whatever reason, and they don't really want to admit that, they will shut you down in a way that is not direct. So you feel terrible with yourself that you even tried to bring up the thing that you wanted to talk about. And you have to also pretend that you are not feeling these things anymore in order to still have that friend's acceptance. And that is super dangerous on a whole lot of levels. It is extremely maladaptive emotionally and cognitively. And it is teaching people that they cannot exist with real variety, real diversity. If we are not completely the same, we cannot be friends. And I'm not talking like, we have opposing views on something that is deathly serious and vital, like I don't know, would be deathly serious and vital. Like, I want to eliminate an entire group of people from the face of the earth, and you don't agree with me, and we should find a middle ground. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about non-extreme things about life. So, yeah. I just don't want to monopolize everything. Like, please, guys, please talk a little bit.
No, it's very interesting. You've seen that kind of thing play out. We all have in politics in the last few years, or even maybe 6 or 7 years or so. I've seen it play out. That's the one I've noticed it a lot.
Yeah.
Who you're not allowed to criticize, who's acceptable to criticize, who's not acceptable to criticize, and you see it on a mass media level, but then you also see it on social media with regular people. Pretty destructive, and it can shut down. It can really be
and the end result is that we are stagnant in everything. Like, take the politics, for example. A really big pet peeve of mine is that people seem to choose a side, whatever that side is, or choose a group or a political affiliation or a political alignment, or, pick your poison, okay? And once they have committed, okay, I am this, whatever this is, left, right, Republican, communist, socialist, I don't know, what have you, they become absolutely blind to the negatives of their side, and they will froth at the mouth if they are being forced to talk about them. And that is, again, toxic positivity, because we are all positive here in socialism, or we are all positive here in pro-Trump, whatever, or right-wing neoliberalism, if you don't want the person.
Well, then there's the nationalist example as well. So when people were being critical, say, of the American people, they were being critical during the Bush Jr. era, when he invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, and they were anti-war. And then these people who are toxic positive nationalists would say, if you don't like it, then get out. If you don't like it, then to these people who are protesting or saying anything critical, if you don't like it, then leave. Which is another form.
Why you hate America, bro?
Yeah, exactly. And this teaches people to not think. It's like, okay, this is your set that goes with this category you've chosen. Don't you dare critically evaluate all of these things. And the problem is that without critical evaluation, we cannot have development. Things will not evolve into something better because we don't dare touch it.
Yeah,
and that is true for everything.
Personally, right? I've always thought the people who actually do really love a country or love a thing are the ones who can accept criticism and will evaluate it critically. People who don't love a thing are the ones who are just relentlessly, pretend positive about it no matter what and ignore the bad stuff, because they
don't even ignore the bad stuff. They try to convince you that the bad stuff is actually good stuff.
Yes.
And that's another step. Like as I said in the video, part of the cast, go watch it. Become our patron. We need you. As I said there, toxic positivity is the very beginning of this yellow brick road where Emerald City is a psychotic break waiting for you, because the more you force things to comply to this positive requirement list that you have, depending on what group you have ascribed to, the more detached you become from reality. And the more you lean into that, the more reality becomes threatening to you. And guess what happens then? Then you start on the nice journey to psychosis. And then eventually you wake up one day and you realize that you are in a padded room, basically.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking this really does go quite widely, doesn't it? It applies to people who do it with, we're talking about politics, but there's also people who do it with brands.
Oh, yeah.
And cars.
Tesla.
Products. Like there was the like the Apple zombies back in the day, the iZombies.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever there was a problem with the iPhone, oh, it's not a bug, it's a feature, all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's so much now, but that used to be the thing.
Yeah. I remember I started my I popped my tech cherry with Apple, like my first computer. Well, actually, no, it was Amstrad, but when I knew what I was doing, it was Apple.
Yeah.
And I really liked Apple. I liked it was super progressive back then. I'm talking the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. But I hated the community, such as it was. It was like, oh, we are superior to the rest of humanity because we have this thing that is Apple, and we are Star Trek to your, I don't know, backwater sticks and stones, under civilization, heathen. I hated that. That was terrible. And then I switched to Windows, and it was the same. But then I had to actually have a computer. So.
But yeah, those people are toxically positive about everything they can be. There's people who do that. I suppose all of us will probably go through a stage of that to some degree about something, I suppose. I mean, we used to do it about Drunkduck for a lot of the time, even when there were a lot of issues with the site. We're still the best, I don't care. Site's breaking down every time. It doesn't matter, we are the best and all the rest of the crap. We don't have any issues on the site. It's just...
Well, you know what though? I mean, you never got really terrible with it because you still wanted to correct the issues. So the problem with the toxic positive thing is that we don't want to correct the thing, because if we correct something, we admit we were wrong. So you cannot be wrong in this life. That's another thing. For example, one super toxic element that I had to constantly battle as a teacher in my classes, because I used to be, like, for anyone who doesn't know, before I was an education specialist and educational psychologist, I was a teacher for about 20 years. Was this toxic positive wow factor that parents had. My kid is a genius, and we have a wonderful time at home at all times, because he picks it up immediately, and we never study at home. Like he never studies, and he's like totally A+++ all the time. And that was really bad for the poor kid, but also for all the other poor kids that believed that crap and didn't realize that, little Jimmy, little Takis, little whoever was like pulling 6 and 8 hours a day to be that effortless genius. So yeah.
Yes.
No, everything is easy for us. We are so clever. Yeah.
And that's another toxic thing, because then people think, oh my God, if it's so easy for them and they don't have to study to achieve that level of brilliance, then my kid must be an absolute moron then.
Mm-hmm.
He'll never be as clever, never be as great at music or all these other great things, because they're not naturally brilliant like this one.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing to do with sports as well. Often, kids, they're just naturally talented, but in reality, they're practicing every single bloody day.
Art as well. Like, I was born able to paint the Sistine Chapel. Like, this is actually my warm-up mural before I do my actual masterpiece. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the myth of genius, isn't it? With the people like Mozart, who is famously, at a very young age he created these beautiful music, and then there's the Leonardo da Vinci. He was at a young age, he was able to paint this amazing image of this kneeling angel, something like that. But it's all mythology and bullshit, and when you actually get into the real stories and examine it, it's not such a clear case of the child genius. Say Mozart produced a lot of absolute garbage when he was a little child, and it's a lot of stories.
Of course, he was a kid.
His dad.
But the other thing that they overlook is that both Da Vinci and Mozart and everybody else worked their ass off from a very young age. So that was their job basically, and Mozart was basically a circus act, so he worked a lot to be that circus act. But of course, but that doesn't take away from him being ridiculously talented, okay? But the point is that he also put in work to make that talent flourish really young. So that's also a thing.
Yeah, his father was a musician, right? And didn't Mozart have a sister, and they were both really...
Yeah. And they say that the sister was better, but I don't know. But because he was a girl, she wasn't really promoted. I really don't know if that is true. But I wouldn't be surprised if it were. So, anyway.
Yeah, there's the Leonardo da Vinci thing that sort of carries on. He was the original Renaissance man, and he did this and he did that. But people don't really understand that he produced hardly any paintings in his life. He didn't make all these inventions. They were just drawings in books and all that stuff, and there's a lot of other artists that did produce so much more. So,
But
we love the myth of the genius, and we build it up.
The thing is that it is a myth of the genius, and we don't appreciate geniuses when we see them, because being a genius means very specific things, and it's not the magical thing that we see on the screen. It's something that can be actually very burdening for the genius. But beyond that, going back to the whole toxic positivity thing, it's toxic because it's hurtful to everyone. And what I said about having this break with reality, one of the best examples that I can think of is fat acceptance. And as I talk about in the second article that is probably going to be out, the point isn't that, of course, you have to be accepting of fat people. I mean, everyone makes their choices. It's none of your business if someone is or isn't fat.
Yeah. Having a bit of a connection issue.
When does it start becoming toxic?
Yeah. Yeah, sort of. It was just clunking along very slowly there. I think it's working all right. Yeah, the fat acceptance movement does go a bit hard into that realm of toxic positivity when people are not allowed to sort of bring up the idea that people can have health issues and the fact that being very, very obese can actually damage your health, and it is not a natural state per se. I mean, it's natural to be thin, it's natural to be fat, it's natural to be any size, but the body does not sit comfortably at a certain weight because it begins to harm organs and things like that, and it does actually shorten your lifespan. So you just got to be aware of there's a reality sort of crashing in on that.
Exactly, and that's the point I wanted to make in the sense that this toxic positivity has pushed people to shun science and to shun reality in order to preserve their feeling fine with their choice. And what I mean is, you should not go up to a fat person and tell them, you know what, you're going to die young, because you don't know that. They may live to be 100 and fat. Okay. So we're not talking about that. What we are talking about is that people go out of their way to attack anyone that wants to talk about health, and health not being at every size. So this is psychotic. Actually, this is psychotic. This is wrong. And it is because, they feel that if they are making a choice that has disadvantages, that is somehow a problem. And then they will need to do something to change it. And they don't want to stop, their behaviors. And that's fine. Nobody is telling, for example, cigarette smokers to stop smoking all the time, but they all know that they should stop at some point. But nobody tries to challenge that smoking is good for you, not anymore anyway. So what I'm trying to talk to say is that if you cannot handle a choice with its negatives, because every choice has pros and cons, there is no all positive in anything, then that is a you problem. That means that you don't feel that means that you don't feel secure in the choice that you have made.
Yeah, true. Other things that can be toxic to you is like a gambling addiction. Any kind of addictive behavior, but a gambling addiction is a good kind of one. Drinking, alcoholism, and people even obviously drug addiction, or just like not per se like a drug addiction. If someone's smoking too much weed all the time, they just smoke weed all the time, and that's apparently not meant to be an addictive thing. But if you're doing that all the time, and someone says, "Hang on, maybe you should lay off it because this is causing issues with various aspects of your life," and if they say, "Oh, you're just harshing my buzz, man. No toxic vibes here. You don't understand. You're realize that you're so caught up in it that you can't accept any criticism or
on the other hand, okay, that is, you have to be very certain whether it is, quote unquote, your place to do an intervention, to tell someone, you know what, you should consider not doing certain things. Because if it's not your place, you should shut up. It won't help. Unsolicited advice is almost never received. On the contrary, it has the opposite effect. And it really, if it is unsolicited, it means that you mostly have little idea of that person's circumstances and whether they can or can't actually deal with the problem that you are trying to draw their attention to, which is totally legit.
Let's say if it is warranted, say if their addiction is harming their, they're a friend or something like that, and you can actually see it's actually harming them and it's harming your relationship with them, all that kind of stuff. Like it's a family member or something like that.
Then that is your place. You should speak up, especially if you feel that it is harming your relationship and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. If it is some random person on the internet, if you have nothing good to say, just don't say anything. That is a golden rule for the internet, in my opinion.
That sounds toxic positivity, me, Chance.
It could be. Absolutely, it could be. It could be if you make it like an unbreakable rule. Yeah, that also can be toxic. The whole point is, use your head and have nuance. Nuance. But the other thing that I wanted to underline, especially because we went into the whole self-image field, is that there are certain things that you can do nothing about or very little about, like, for example, height, or if you have a specific congenital condition, or if you are dealing with certain challenges, physical challenges and stuff. There, having people change their behavior about, like, give you negative feedback about something you can do nothing about, that is also toxic.
Yeah, okay.
So I wanted to say that.
I agree, yeah.
Like, for example, I'm short. I have always been short. I have always been the shortest person in the group of anything, like in class, at university, at the Red Cross. I'm also the shortest. Like, I'm the shortest everywhere I go.
You need to learn to be taller, Tans.
That's your problem. Be taller, be better. Thankfully, I have never been. Oh, no, I have had people tell me that I am too short for my gender, for some reason.
Oh God, really?
And stuff like that. But it's super rare. And I was like, you know what? I don't care what you think. But I have been loved and supported, and I am assertive enough now to not care. If I was, for example, 12, a teenager, a young adult, and people kept bombarding me with, "You are too short to be alive," then I would have serious problems with my self-esteem. And that is super toxic. Super toxic. It's as toxic as, you can be, I don't know, like a super, super morbidly obese, and you will be able to do anything. You are going to be able to go places and do stuff and not, pant as you just get up off your bed or something, if you can. So what I'm talking about is there is nuance in everything, and the toxicity in positivity, or in, the potential feedback, quote unquote, or telling it like it is, or all of that tough love bullshit. Both sides are the extremes of the same toxic approach of imposing yourself on other people. And please don't do that. That was the thing.
Yeah, I love what you said there, and especially too short to be alive. That's very harsh.
Yeah.
But no, but you're also, your side point about being assertive reminds me that, like, when we talk about subjects like this, I always hope that we'll also address the fact that, I don't know who's listening to this, but like, we all have to be our own caretaker, and take, and develop somewhat of a thick skin. I'm not saying abuse is okay or toxic anything is okay, of course, but to learn how to handle the world, because it won't always be nice to you.
Yeah.
Like, the world and people around you will make mistakes, and they'll even do bad things on purpose. So, the idea of, I guess, boundaries, having a thick skin, learning how to handle things, having your own kind of identity, and it gets easier as you mature, I think. But, to be able to let some things roll off your back and say, like, well, what other people do matters as much as I let it matter.
Yeah.
Once you're out of someone else's control, in most circumstances anyway,
Yeah, absolutely. That's an excellent thing to say. And I have to say that all of that you described is a skill set. You learn it. It's not a trait. You're not born with it.
Yeah.
So if you feel that you have no way to know how to start developing all of that, and the thick skin basically means not that you don't care, is that you know how, like Ben said, how to handle it in your reaction to others that are toxic enough to give you that terrible feedback, and also how to handle it within yourself. This is a skill set. And if you don't know how to start acquiring it, then this is your cue to seek professional help in teaching you that. And who would do that? That would be a counselor, especially cognitive behavioral or cognitive psychologists are excellent for this. They can teach you the skills very quickly and very efficiently. And you should learn these skills. It helps you be tranquil and realize what you actually want to be, which is not going to be, I guarantee it, conform to everything society or subgroups of society tell you to be. You are going to be something unique, and this is going to be celebrated once you get that skill set and celebrate yourself first, in a sense, if that makes sense at all. So.
Yeah, you don't have to conform with the group think, do you?
Mm-hmm. And it can maybe be tougher to find that grounding in yourself with the way things are now, with a level of distraction that we have that's just crazy off the charts.
Yeah. And it is a process, and you become better. It's like any kind of skill. The more you do it, the better you become at it. Like about a couple of months ago or something, or maybe a little more, I posted opinions on the internet.
Oh no! That was you? You did that?
That was me, yeah. Oh. On Twitter, on Greek Twitter, because of course, I usually don't engage as much anymore because I can't be bothered. But there are some times where it hits me just right, and I say, okay, I cannot not say something, and I take to my keyboard. And it was super political, I know, shocking about me. And it was, I was basically attacking a gaggle of trolls that were saying something that was completely outrageous and not based in reality at all, And they came back at me by attacking my hair color, basically, and calling me ugly.
Oh God! Wow. But you're ugly.
Yeah, you're ugly, and your hair is pumpkin colored, and your hairdo is like for dogs or something like that. And it was so freaking funny. I laughed, and I, of course, I didn't take it seriously, which they hated. Because I kept replying to them, and I had more fun than they did. But the point what I want to make is that if I was less secure in what I want to look like, or how and whether I like my face and I own my face, like I really like it, this would get to me. And then I would start doubting myself, and I would start saying, okay, maybe I should change something. Maybe I should, or I would seek likewise, like-minded people that also have pumpkin hair and I don't know,
Right.
whatever, and band together and say pumpkin hair is the best, and if you don't have pumpkin hair, you are anti-pumpkin. And
pH acceptance.
Yes. Oh, no. Anyway, so
I love that. That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically the trolls would have won because I would not enjoy my hair anymore. I would keep my hair just to not prove the trolls right, and then I would be miserable. You know, if you understand the process I'm trying to describe. So yeah, bottom line after this, because this went on for like a day more or less, because I had like 5 or 6 different trolls take turns. Then they all told me I was a very unpleasant person. And they blocked me.
It's very polite of them.
Yeah. Everyone ends up telling me I'm unpleasant and I am a terrible woman.
We do it once a week, don't we, Baines?
Yeah. That's how we usually end the episodes. It's kind of mean now that I think about it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. But yeah, the point is, you don't need to. I'm talking about these things because if we're talking about serious issues, like for example, threat to LGBTQ people, or threat to minorities in certain countries, yes, you totally need to, be united, have a united front, have allies, and advocate for certain things. But we are talking about subjective things, or things that reality itself challenges.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, getting into a bubble just because you can't handle criticism is a problem. Like, say, you only like Star Trek. You don't want to hear anything bad about it, so you become a Trekkie only group. And anyone who says anything bad about it in your group is now ostracized. Oh, we don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
Go away. You're not one of us.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being inside a bubble is bad, because then you don't hear anything interesting or new or novel.
Mm-hmm.
You're trapped with the same old ideas.
And the thing that you love stagnates and doesn't become better either. Because, for example, I'm going back to the whole fat thing. Nobody's saying that you should be Twinkie. Actually, you shouldn't be Twinkie. That is super unhealthy.
What's Twinkie?
Sorry, Twiggy.
Oh, Twiggy. Oh.
Yeah. Twinkie is the sweet. Don't be Twinkie either. The whole point is just don't go to extremes and preserve your well-being. And that's all that there is to it. Like, have your curves. We love curves. Be, like a plank. We love planks. Just be healthy. Yeah, a healthy plank. Or a healthy
guys, save lives. Thick thoughts. All that stuff.
Like, nuance. Nuance is everything. Just if nuance is lost, then you get extremes, and extremes are dangerous and toxic.
Yeah, there's a real issue with these people who just go crazy for eating, and they just take it to literally toxic levels, because that's what's going on in their liver and their kidneys.
Or on the other hand,
oh my God,
like, and that's amazing that it has this duality. You have the other group that goes for anorexic level thin people. And you get models that are very, very thin. And then when they gain weight, as they should, they get feedback of like, oh, now you are not sexy anymore, that I cannot see like all your ribs and your pelvis absolutely jutting out, that is also super toxic because that is also very unhealthy.
Life is challenging, man. There's no doubt about it. To find that, to navigate it and stay in balance, don't go off one side or the other. It's hard.
Exactly. and you have to seriously consider, okay, how objective is what I'm being told? And if it is subjective and it hurts no one, fuck it. Sorry for the friends. If you like pumpkin hair, if you like, rainbow hair, you do you, because this is a complete matter of taste. But when you go into things where science has given you certain hints, maybe take them into consideration a little bit. Or
oh no, the science is wrong, Tans. That's what you have to realize.
Yeah, or for example, when you get to let's eliminate all of these people that are in these categories, maybe you should consider that maybe you are becoming a Nazi, or on the other hand, when you are saying like everybody should be completely uncontrolled and have no social policy whatsoever about, my immigration and stuff, then maybe you should consider that this is also very unsustainable and nobody is going to be happy and you will end up fueling the Nazis, that sort of thing. Sociology has things to say, but nobody listens to sociology, period, for some reason. They are there and nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, just can't throw everything to the wind and just be laissez-faire about everything.
Yeah.
Things. There's a rule of thermodynamics in a way that governs how things have to be within balance, pretty much.
Yeah, and there should be fairness. That's another thing. We're going into other areas, but yeah, that's basically, my father is a sociologist. That's his main pet peeve. Like, we have all these, scientific consistent results, and nobody is taking, like, everyone does the same wrong thing forever. Like, I hate this, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, this has been a terribly interesting discussion. What are our final thoughts on the toxic positivity? Good thoughts only.
Well, I got to shout out two things that come to mind that I think maybe are related to toxic positivity, like fictional things that I enjoyed. One would be the old Isaac Asimov short story, one of his early robot stories called Liar. And robots in his world are built to follow the three laws of robotics. The paramount is not to injure a human being or by an action allow a human being to be injured. So in this story, this robot develops telepathic powers. So it can see what people want, what their desires are. And in this group of scientists, the robot lies to all of them, telling them only what they want to hear, and causes a lot of social chaos for this group. Very interesting.
Yeah.
The other one would be the Black Mirror episode called Nosedive, which is in a world based on getting thumbs up from positive interactions or thumbs down between people. So you have this very kind of artificial kind of society, and very interesting, worth seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
oh dear.
And I would also add in that list a short story by Kurt Vonnegut. I never can pronounce him well. Called Harrison Bergeron, and it is about this basically dystopian society where everyone is basically brought down to one single basic level, so that everyone feels nice and not envious of other people's talents. So, if you are very beautiful, you have to wear a mask that makes you plain, not ugly, plain. Or if you are very strong, you have to wear certain clothes that make you weaker, that sort of thing. And everyone, if you are very smart, you have to wear earphones that make you constantly distracted, so you look dumb. So yeah, that is also, and this is all in the name of equality, being, everyone should be equal and everyone should feel well that they are as good as everybody else. So.
Oh, that sounds great. I want to read that. Yeah.
Highly recommended as a short story.
Harrison Bergeron, you said?
Mm-hmm.
By Kurt Vonnegut. Okay, cool.
Yes, he's a very noted writer.
Yes.
Good old Slaughterhouse-5 Kurt.
Yeah, that's the
Last
one.
Line, Cat's Cradle, all that stuff. Slaughterhouse-5. Well, my thought is about movies and criticism of artwork and stuff like that. Just because you've got something more complex to say doesn't mean you're being mean or something like that. Actually, not accepting any sort of criticism about a movie or something like that is toxic. So you have to allow a bit of complicated thought on these things. Doesn't mean that people are allowed to be dicks about stuff, especially if they're talking about, comics that are not, that are just done on Drunkduck, that someone's just, just put a whole lot of time and effort into that. It's, you're not enforcing toxic positivity by telling someone not to be a dick about it, and you shouldn't be like needlessly mean about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because that is also toxic.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it can lead to all hosts of horrible things. But if you do have valid criticism about something, couch it in a helpful way. That's how you should do that. Couch it in a helpful, nice way. Don't say, "Oh, I'm just being honest," because you're not just being honest. You're being a dick.
Yeah.
And there's a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy criticism of stuff that's, especially it's produced as a mass media product, because you're not insulting anyone's feelings by saying, not being a dick about it, but by saying something negative about a big budget production, because lots of people had a lot of work into that, and big studios invested millions of dollars. So this is a big kind of industrially produced bit of creativity. So you're allowed to be a little bit on the negative side. Anyway, so don't enforce toxic positivity. That's our cast for the week. 621. Thanks very much.
Bye.
And Tansaroon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.